Good afternoon, everyone. We're assembled this afternoon for the public access session associated with the ordinary council meeting of the Norfolk Island Regional Council. That council meeting will be held tomorrow, 4th of May, commencing at 2 p.m. There's been one request for public access received from Robin Adams, who has indicated that she wishes to address council on item 12.1 of the agenda. So, Robin, welcome again, and over to you.
Thank you, Administrator. Good afternoon. As you said, item 12.1 on the agenda is titled Electricity Review Update, Funding and Tariff Introduction. And the paper in the agenda provides an update on the progress of Council's strategic objective of providing the community with 100% renewable energy by 2024. The paper concludes with the following recommendation. 1. The Council notes the information provided in this report, and 2. The Council adopt the new tariff regime and that it be placed on public exhibition for 28 days. I am addressing Council this afternoon not on the content of the paper, but on the recommendation as it currently stands and the wider issue of community consultation or lack thereof. The wording of the recommendation could be construed that the new tariff regime has been agreed. I'm not saying it has, but it could be construed that it has been agreed, and that placing it on public exhibition for 28 days is merely a formality. I trust this is not the case, and submit that one needs to turn to the New South Wales Local Government Act 1993, section 35 bracket D, in its application to Norfolk Island for guidance on community consultation. This section of the Act provides it is a function of the General Manager to advise the Mayor and the governing body, which of course is yourself at this time, on the appropriate form of community consultation on the strategic plans, programs, strategies and policies of the Council and other matters related to the Council. Council and the General Manager have two documents to turn to when seeking clarity on determining the appropriate form of community consultation under the Act. They are the Community Engagement Strategy of 2018, which was adopted by Council at the 21 February 2018 Council meeting, Resolution 2018/8, and the Norfolk Island Community Engagement Framework, June 2019, which is a guide for the Department on how to engage with the community on matters that apply to Norfolk Island. I propose to you, Administrator, that it is Council's Community Engagement Strategy of 2018 that provides the best guidance to the General Manager on the issue of community consultation, and again invite attention to Council's community promise, as I did in the public access at the 24 February 2021 Council meeting. And that promise states, the Norfolk Island Regional Council promises to engage with the community in an open, transparent and equitable way to make sure it understands the views and feelings of all community segments before it makes planning, funding or strategic decisions. And I submit to you, Administrator, that adherence to this promise is particularly critical today, now that the Commonwealth has dismissed the democratically elected Council of Norfolk Island. And I further submit to you, Administrator, that the proposed funding and tariff introduction in item 12.1 on the agenda clearly aligns with Council's promise to consult with the community, and that this is a time for an open community meeting conducted by yourself with opportunities for presentation from members of the public as recommended under the Community Engagement Strategy. Your willingness, Administrator, to engage in discussion with me personally outside of Council meetings on issues of community concern, I wish to acknowledge, and it is appreciated. Short and sweet today.
Thank you, Robin.
I'm happy to leave this with,
Thank you.
if that's helpful.
I will have a two-way conversation with you about this. The public access arrangements normally permit the community to make submissions, and it's not a foregone conclusion that there would be a two-way discussion, and I'm quite happy to do that, especially while we have only a small number of submissions. In the case of today, we only have one, so there is time to have a conversation which is being recorded and will go on the website. The recommendation which you read out is for notation by Council and for Council to adopt the new tariff regime and place it on exhibition for 28 days. My understanding of that, and I'll certainly have this clarified before we get to the Council meeting, but my understanding when I read that is that this tariff regime will become part of Council's revenue policy for 2022-2023, along with other components which are not the subject of reports today but will be within the next few weeks, to do with Council's, the adoption for public exhibition of Council's operational plan, Council's delivery program, Council's revenue policy, Council's rates and charges, fees and charges for 2022-2023. So I see the electricity tariff regime as fitting under the banner of Council's revenue policy, and when I read this report, it was my intention to have that clarified at the meeting, that if that is the intention and that's where Council would normally be adopting any fees and charges, including electricity tariffs for the ensuing 12-month period, that the appropriate process is to include this proposal and this set of tariff tables in the draft revenue policy which goes out onto public exhibition, and that then triggers a process for community consultation. There will be a way prescribed when the public exhibition process commences, which would be very shortly, within the next few weeks. It will be prescribed as to how members of the public who wish to make submissions can do so in relation to that. So I guess in short, I was going to seek my own clarification at the meeting tomorrow about the implications, and then the resulting resolution that comes out of tomorrow's council meeting would tie in the things I've just been talking about, would tie in the electricity tariff, proposed tariffs, to the revenue policy arrangements that are going to flow over the next few weeks. So it may be that the recommendation is not adopted exactly as printed here. It may be that we incorporate it into the revenue policy and the public exhibition of the whole revenue policy, including these tariffs.
Excuse me, are you talking about the operational plan?
I'm talking about the operational plan and the revenue policy, which is normally developed and adopted at the same time as the operational plan. And the revenue policy covers all the fees and charges that the council proposes to charge, including its land rates, its waste management charges, and all of those things are normally adopted in draft form to go to exhibition. They go to exhibition for a month. People are then told how they can make submissions in relation to what's in those draft plans, and they then come back towards the end of June for final consideration and adoption, taking into account whatever submissions have been made. That's the usual process.
Past practice has been here that, at least the first 2 years of council, there was a community meeting at which the community was led through the operational plan and all the component parts of it. It didn't happen in the last 2 years because of COVID. There was an attempt to do so in one of those years, but it all became too hard with the COVID rules that were in place. And yes, community consultation can be a bit confrontational, depends on the issues which are being addressed in the operational plan. But that's part of the course, and with good leadership, good chair, people are brought into a position where meetings are good and meaningful and, yes, informative, because that's the whole issue that isn't happening here. The constant out there in the community is you have no idea what's going on. I'm fortunate in that I know how to negotiate the system if I want to find an answer. And as I concluded by saying, thank you for your willingness, like you and I did on the Friday after the council meeting, the last council meeting. We had a good conversation around some issues which I had concern with. My concern, I hope I've made it clear, is that we have a promise to the people under the community engagement strategy. And it's in everybody's interest that that promise be fulfilled to the best that we are able. It's a new way at the moment for the community, and one hopes that time will pass and democracy will be returned to Norfolk Island, and the people will have elected members that they can have their say to. That's absent at this point in time. So, thank you for listening. I'm not talking at all about the content of what's in 12.1. But it's not easy sailing, and it would be a great way if it was all put up on a board with the officers who understand, what it all means, and they explain it to the community, because it's a brand new way forward. It's a great goal that we're working towards with electricity. Tremendous goal. We're way showers with this. And it's to bring the community along with us from the beginning to the end would be to our advantage.
Okay, well, your point is taken about how we should be engaging. You're pointing out to me what I already know, that we do have an engagement strategy. So I appreciate you bringing that up. What I have said is that the tariff structure, from my perspective, really forms part of a revenue policy that needs to be adopted by council by the 30th of June. And the way that is usually done is a draft version is adopted, goes out on public exhibition, and the public is invited to make comments. You're saying to me, please bear in mind the provisions in the community engagement strategy as we go out to that exhibition process. I will certainly take that into account as we move into the process. Okay. So is there anything else that you wish to say on that?
No, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to. And I would encourage other members of the community to avail themselves of public access, to have a say on, with respect, on issues which are on the agenda each month. Yes.
Well, I would do the same. I certainly want to encourage more community participation in the council meetings, and that's why I've opted to adopt a less formal and structured
Yes.
process for it, so that we can make it a conversation.
And that's very much
And I'm really keen to see the community take me up on that and use the process. So thank you very much, Robin, for your input today, and we'll close the session now.